What's up? What's up? What's up, everybody? We back up in here, Hella Flagrant, the podcast. It's your main man, Hella Flagrant, DM. I'm in here with my brother, Sean B. Flagrant. Shawnee B, what's going on, brother?
Oh man, I'm always good. Football season is completed, finally done. Hell of a season actually. Everything went really smoothly. Did not expect that. But yeah, basketball season is at the midway point. All-Star game coming up next week, man. It should be. I want to say good, but it might be interesting. But
Yeah,
shit. Let's talk about it, man.
yeah. It's probably going to be the most exciting sports we've seen since Super Bowl. AllStar obviously brings together all the greatest in the NBA, or well, we'll get into the debate about who's the best. You know what I'm saying? In a
Right,
second, but
right.
obviously, it brings together the league's premier players for typically a weekend. This time, they have crammed All Star down into one day. All the action's happening on Sunday, March 7th, right here where I live in the city of Atlanta. And so it's going down to State Farm Arena. So let's talk about that first before we get into the All Star picks and the teams per se. Let's talk about the new layout of All Star. I know you and I have talked about it. I've talked about it with some other people at length. And so there's some pros and cons about moving All Star and all the events of All Star Weekend into one day. Obviously, with COVID-19, this is something I'm guessing that they're trying to do to keep the spread down, to keep people from having to come multiple days to the arena, multiple interactions, multiple group settings, or just having it one day and knock it out. But as you look at it from a business standpoint and from a sports standpoint, moving all-star events all to one day may have some benefits, but it also may hurt. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, obviously, All-Star Weekend used to be a fun-filled event, obviously for the players, but even more for the fans. Every year we go to a different place. I actually attended one in LA, well, two of them in LA. It's been in Oakland, it's been everywhere pretty much. But what it is a 3-day thing where usually Friday is consisted of the rookie game, and I think like the celebrity game. Then comes the big Saturday night where you have the dunk contest, obviously the premier event of the evening. But before that is the 3-point shootout. They did some skills challenge thing that they've been working on, but just a few events that basically show off some other talent in the NBA that maybe not had made the All-Star team and All-Star game. And then obviously on Sunday it would become the All-Star weekend or All-Star game. The big show of the weekend.
Right.
But right now, obviously you just touched on it. They don't have that anymore. They're going to try to slam everything into one day. So right now, I think it's the skills challenge and the 3-point contest are going to come on a little earlier, 2 Pacific time, I guess, 5 out there. And then, we're going to have the All-Star game to follow that. And then in between the All-Star game during halftime is going to be the slam dunk contest, which is pretty bizarre.
Yeah.
Considering that the halftime usually around 20 minutes,
right. So, again, are you going to cut a few rounds out of the dunk contest? Are you going to have a few less dunkers? Is that going to be as exciting?
I hope not.
I hope you have a full dunk contest. And if you watch an hour of a dunk contest, are people going to come back and watch the rest of this game? I don't know. Depends on how the first half of the game goes, because if it's lackluster and whatever, maybe you and I that are avid basketball fans will probably stay and watch the second half. But
right.
I don't know if the casual fan's going to watch the second half after the dunk contest, especially if the dunk contest is not exciting, which other than last year and the year where Zach LaVine and
Aaron Gordon.
Aaron Gordon from Orlando. Those 2 years, and obviously Aaron Gordon was a part of this last one, those were like the most exciting dunk contests probably in the last 10 years.
Since Vince Carter, basically.
Yeah, so I really hope, they keep this dunk contest exciting if it's going to be at halftime, because if you play a game and the game's not really that exciting, guys are just kind of going up and down in the first half, then you have a dunk contest and the dunk contest is not exciting, people are going to turn on Netflix for the second half of the game or something else like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so, you want to, because I love basketball, I want to see this thing go off and I want to see it go well. Because on the flip side, from a TV money perspective and how we look at, the future of entertainment in the world today, obviously COVID-19 has had a major impact about how we look at large gatherings and things of that nature. And so more and more things are going to be streamed and more people are going to enjoy things from the comfort of their homes. So when you put All Star all on one day from a TV perspective, it's probably a lot more beneficial from the league. Like I can sell more expensive ad packages if I know I've got one concentrated day where people are going to be watching, as opposed to three kind of so-so days, right? Because if you think about it, NBA Friday night was usually all the rookies, right?
Right.
And so you may get some fans, you may not get some fans. NBA Saturday, typically a little bit more exciting. You got your skills challenge, your 3-point, your dunk contest. Again, as we just said, dunk contest has kind of been lackluster, but for the most part, a lot of people would argue that that was the highlight of NBA All-Star Weekend. And then Sunday, again, you got some people that are going to watch the game. Some people are going to do other things on that Sunday. And you have these three different opportunities where people may or may not watch. And so as an advertiser, I may or may not be spending a ton of money with you over these 3 days, as opposed to if I've got one concentrated day where I know, kind of like the Super Bowl, everybody's going to be tuned in to NBA activities for this entire day. As an advertiser, it's more lucrative for me to go ahead and put 2, 3, 4 ads in that day. If I'm Pepsi, I'm gonna get you one early dunk contest and in the game, and I'm gonna spend that money comfortably because I know all eyes are gonna be on this stream. And so there's just a couple things to look at as we look at this all-star setup. Obviously, again, it's different. We're all changing, the world's changing, but it's something interesting to look at from a business perspective.
Yeah, and I agree. And I think you kind of touched on it when you're talking about the Super Bowl, because I feel like the reason why the NFL is so popular, I mean, obviously, people love football, but it mostly is because NFL, for the most part, other than Thursdays and Mondays, everything's on one day. So you know exactly what times they're going to come on. They're going to come on in the morning all the way through the evening. So you can watch as many games as you possibly can during that time period, but you don't have to do anything. Sunday, usually people relax anyway. After, if they go to church, if they don't go to church, Sunday is usually a relaxed day. You can get together with friends, people sit at home, sit on the couch, watch TV. NFL has mastered that. NBA, baseball, every other sport, they play all throughout the week. So people kind of get, flustered with it. They don't really want to pay attention to it as much because it's too many days that it comes on. When you have the events built up on the same day, from the beginning, the morning, early, 2 p.m., whatever it is, all the way till 9, people can sit down. They can watch the parts they want, tune into the parts they want, but they don't have to do anything. They can all get together. They don't have to worry about it. So in that aspect, like you were saying, with the ad revenues and everything that comes with it, not having to pay for the arenas for multiple days, not having to pay for staff, vendors, everything that they need to do for this event, and just limited to one day will help the NBA. The only problem is, like you said, it has to be entertaining. They have to make sure that these events, basically they're watchable, they're viewable. The last, like you said about the slam dunk contest, other than last year's and a few years ago, nobody really cared about it. And if you have this during the halftime, or you have a lackluster first half of the NBA All-Star game, or the 3-point contest is not good, the skill challenge, or they don't have great performers, people will turn off. There's too many things now that people watch now that they have Netflix and Amazon Prime and Hulu and all these other streaming networks. Cable, obviously. Options. There's way too many options. Plus, with the pandemic, a lot of people have gotten over just watching sports in general, just because we hadn't had it for so long. And now that it's gotten back in, because there's no fans as much, well, they're starting to have a little bit more fans. But because there's not the normal size fans, a lot of people don't really watch the games like they used to. So for the NBA, I mean, this could be beneficial to them going forward. But, depending on how the outcome comes, this coming Sunday or next Sunday, we'll see if they stick to that plan to keep it going forward with one day. But, when everything was right, when the world was right, and NBA All-Star was here and it was in a great spot, I mean, that was one of the fun events to go to So I hope they don't change it all in one day because a lot
Yeah.
of people, plan trips around that and plan their lives
Well,
around where NBA All Star was
well,
every
yeah,
year.
and that's the other half of it, right? Um, NBA, your next couple of All-Star locations, y'all need to. You in the
Oof.
NFL with the Super Bowl, y'all need to tighten up about where you plan to have the next couple of locations because yeah, I get outside is not all the way open right now, but when it does open back up, or as it begins to open back up, nobody wants to go to places like Indianapolis, um, cold Chicago,
Cleveland,
Minnesota, Cleveland. Like, come
Salt Lake
on,
City.
you
I
know what I
mean,
mean? And there's so many other great cities. You could do it in Houston and New Orleans and Vegas and Vegas and
and
Vegas.
Vegas and Vegas and Vegas
Just
and
keep it in Vegas. You know what I mean?
LA one time, but
I
go
don't
back to
understand.
Vegas.
But again, to your point though, it was a family weekend type thing. So once open up, like outside opens back up, I really do believe it needs to go back to being that weekend thing because it is cool to do some on Friday, some on Saturday, and then go to the game on Sunday. Like you can really make something out of it. So, I really think they should go back to that.
Yeah, I do too. I mean,
Um,
it was better for the players too because like we were talking about a little bit. It's also the players' break too. I mean, if you're forcing them to be there to perform when everybody else in the league is off, I mean, you at least should give them a place that they want to go. You know what
right,
I'm saying? Like, don't send them to Indianapolis in the cold when everybody else is in Cancun for the week or the Bahamas or in Vegas where
right.
you know what I'm saying? Like, why do they have to go to Salt Lake City or Cleveland and play a game when they're probably getting paid less than they would for any other game check. So I
Yeah,
mean, make it beneficial for everybody.
yeah. No, I definitely agree. And so
All right.
now, so getting into the players for All Star. Obviously we got our team captains: Kevin Durant, LeBron James, and then we got our starters. So on the West Coast, starters we got Steph, Luca, the Joker, Kawhi Leonard. On the East, you got Giannis, Bradley Beal, Joel Embiid, and Kyrie Irving. How do you feel about the
Right.
starter pool?
Um. Honestly, I don't think Kyrie Irving um, should be on there. I mean, I like Kyrie's game when he plays. The problem is he took his little hiatus during the season, and he hasn't really played with his teammates until recently. So I don't believe that he should have made the starting team. Now the fans vote, so I can't really say anything about that. We know he's a great player. We know he would be an all-star if he were to be playing, but I honestly think that he doesn't deserve to be on there only because, if you're going to go by what people have done, I don't think that he should be on there. And then on the West side, I think Luka deserves to be an all-star, but I don't think he deserves a start. I would have put Dame in his place. Honestly, I think Dame's having a tremendous year, despite the fact that his team is in the exact same place that it was every other year that he's played. But I still think that efficiency wise and number wise, and especially shooting percentage, he's having a much better year. I think he should have started. But other than that, I guess I can't argue too much more than that.
Yeah, I would say something similar. Um, I look at Luca's numbers though. You look at him points per game, assists and rebounds. I mean, he's 28, 9, and
9 and
8
9,
as
yeah,
a guard. You know what I'm
it
saying?
makes sense. Yeah, it makes
Um,
sense.
so I can't really be mad at that. But Dame's not far by. You know what I'm saying? Like Dame's 29, 8, and 4. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
it's not really that far back. So I definitely couldn't argue with that. Getting into the reserves, we'll start with the East side first. You got Jaylen Brown, James Harden, Zach LaVine, Julius Randle, Ben Simmons, Jason Tatum, and Vucevic. Left off this list, some notable names left off this list: Fred VanVleet, Trey Young. Somebody really had the nerve to say Terry Rozier in a
Yeah,
clubhouse chat.
no, I'm
I
sorry
was
about
like,
that.
stop it.
Sorry about that. Like if that's the, I'd rather have LaMelo play if that's the
Right.
case. Like,
Yeah, you give me LaMelo Ball over that. So on the East, I said Van Fleet, I said Trey Young. Is there anybody else you feel like may have got snubbed?
for the East, yeah, but he's never gonna show up. Well, he has been an all-star, and I think his he's gonna have to be above and beyond just because of the way his game plays. I mean, it's kind of like Jokic in a way, similar to the style of play. But Sabonis
Mm.
in with the Pacers, I think that he definitely deserves to be an All Star this year. I know why they didn't pick him. I mean, he's not a household name. I mean, obviously we know more about his father than we do him, but I
Yeah.
mean, he's making himself a great player in the NBA.
Arvidas.
Yeah, he's a great player in the NBA, and I think that I mean the Pacers don't look like a great team to watch on TV. But I watched him play the Warriors. I know obviously that's the only time I actually see him this year, and Sabonis killed him. And I understand why
Yeah.
he should be an All Star, but I can understand why people didn't pick him because just nobody knows who he is. So
Yeah, another name we talked about earlier, Chris Middleton.
yeah,
Same reason. I can see
yeah,
why. You know, a lot of fan votes probably not going his way, even though he is shooting, said close to 50%,
yeah,
um, and averaging what, 23, 25,
yeah.
somewhere in there. So he's shooting at an excellent clip, and he's playing great defense. So Chris Middleton, is definitely playing all-star caliber basketball, but because of the nature of how they pick, um, he probably won't see
Yeah.
it for him. Western Conference reserves. You got Anthony Davis, Paul George, Rudy Gobert, Damian Lillard, Donovan Mitchell, Chris Paul, Zion Williamson. Missing from this side are your Devin Bookers. Somebody would want to have an argument for John Wall, and maybe a few other people on
Yeah,
this
I'm not
side.
having that argument. I'm not having that argument.
I'm not having that argument for John Wall, but I'm just saying, um, you know,
Yeah.
obviously, as we talked about Chris Paul, he's Chris Paul, but Devin Booker is clearly the better player on that team. Don't understand how that worked out. And then Anthony Davis, who's injured, again, more of the fan vote, star power. He's on the Lakers. They were going to put him there, but again, why?
Right. And I mean Anthony Davis is probably going to be taken off the list because I don't think he'll be able to play because he's like you said he's still injured. And they will probably replace him with Devin Booker, but Devin Booker doesn't deserve to be left off the list or be somebody's replacement. It just doesn't make any sense. Like this one is the one I feel the strongest about, just because it just Devin Booker is one of the better players in the NBA in general. He's having a phenomenal year, and I mean, the fact that he's not on the, I mean, he's on the All-Star team last year, but the fact that he's not on the team this year makes completely no sense to me. I get it. Chris Paul is what the player rep union or the union rep or whatever he is for the players, but still, like he's second fiddle to Devin Booker, just like he's been second fiddle to James Harden and
Right.
everybody else he's played with. I mean,
Right.
Chris Paul is great for what he does, but he's not the star on this team. Phoenix is playing really well. I know I come out here and I talk shit about Phoenix all the time, but I'm telling you right now, Phoenix is doing very well. Look, I'm gonna give you just read off a few of these tweets that a lot of these stars
Yeah.
said. LeBron James, Devin Booker is the most disrespected player in our league. Simple as that. And then he's followed by Dame Dollar, obviously. CJ McCollum, one of Damon's teammates. Damn, Devin Booker really didn't make it. That's crazy, bro. Really cold too. Sick world. Look, the Arizona Cardinals. Right? The
They
Arizona
had to
Cardinals
chime in.
decided to chime in on it. Even we know Devin Booker is an all-star. I mean, I don't understand why the NBA can't see this. I don't know who voted or who didn't vote, but this is ridiculous. I mean, Saquon Barkley, nah, D Book is really him, y'all. Like, come on, like what? Like you got people that are not even playing basketball in
Yeah.
this. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I
Yeah.
don't get it. I don't understand this.
No, it's one of those things. Like again, I don't know if it's because Phoenix doesn't get enough TV time for exposure, so that he can get the fan vote, and fans are just voting off the name of Chris Paul. You know what I'm saying? And maybe
Yeah.
not voting on Devin Booker's name because they don't know Devin Booker the same way. I don't know, but I definitely consider that a snub.
Well, the problem is the fans get the credit for voting for the starters. Um, they have a little bit of say in who makes the reserves, but most of that is GMs, executive coaches, and players. So I don't understand how this is possible. Like, how you not voting for this
So
guy?
yeah, I mean, Book is definitely a noted snub for real. But every year you got somebody who is considered a snub, and unfortunately, this is his year. So,
Yeah.
and the funny thing, and I know I asked you this on the phone earlier, but All Stars being hosted in Atlanta, Trae Young's a snub.
Yeah.
Like how are you still gonna host this as the host city? Because when it's in your city, you're supposed to like be a part of it and welcome the guys in, and your face is gonna be all over this thing, and you didn't even make it, and you should have. Like that's a hard.
27-9, man. 27 points a game and 9 assists, and he didn't make the team.
Yeah, that's unacceptable.
Yeah.
And it's
I
in your
agree.
city though. You know what I'm saying? Like
Exactly.
it's
I
in
agree.
your city. Like you putting up the same numbers as Kyrie, and you played more games.
Thank you. That's my whole point. Like that's why, I don't really get the logic behind this, but they gonna vote who they want to vote for, I guess.
So, but again, it could be that factor of they don't play a lot of Atlanta games on TV. So when fans went to do their fan vote, maybe they just all ran to the people that they just recognize off the top. You know what I'm saying, by name. And damn it, today is not my day today. Like, fuck it. I'm gonna leave that in there. I'm not even gonna take that out. But anyway, no, shit happens. But
They do.
um, but yeah, I think fans just voting on the name. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think of fans that even like, because I'll be honest, I've seen Warriors on TV a lot, the Lakers on TV a lot, Brooklyn on TV a lot. Milwaukee is on TV
Yeah.
a fair amount.
Celtics and
Celtics
Sixers.
and Sixers. Good God. If they give me that matchup one more time. So sick of seeing those two teams play each other.
Yeah. Shout
But
out to the
outside
East Coast, but I'm tired of that, man.
outside of that, like you don't see these other teams. So if I'm a fan, like it doesn't even come to my mind maybe to think about voting for a Trae Young because I don't see him ever. I don't see Devin Booker. I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like I don't see some of these other guys. But
Well, and you know what? Now that I thought about it too. Now I'm thinking about it. A lot of that has to do with the internet age. You know what I'm saying? Like obviously seeing Instagram and Bleach Report and everything that they keep showing. Like you're only seeing highlights of guys. Like you're not going to see highlights of Sabonis. You're just not. You know what I'm saying? Like because he doesn't. That's not his game. So people wouldn't even know to vote for him because they just don't see him like that. Because people don't really watch games as much on TV. And like you said, the games that they do watch, I mean, they're only cramming down certain games. So if you don't see them, you have to see them on highlights, and you're not going to see some of these guys on the highlight reel. Now, Trae Young is different. Trae Young is constantly on highlight reels. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of
Right.
the stuff that he does is flair. So
Yeah.
the fact that he was snubbed is different. Like I could see Devin Booker not. I mean, Devin Booker is raw, and the stuff that he does is clean. But a lot of that stuff is basic basketball. It's pull up jumpers. It's one cross, but then pull up. It's not the
Yeah.
flash. So you might not see him as much. So they don't. They won't vote for him as much. But they're seeing all these other guys on TV, and that's why they're getting the votes.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean that's just it's going to be interesting to see how how that goes with Trae Young. Does he play in the participate in the 3-point competition or skills challenge or something? I'm sure he's going to do something. I doubt he's with it being in his backyard. He's not, I'm pretty sure he's just not going to not do anything. You know what I mean? So we'll see how that goes for him. So, moving out of NBA over to the National Flagrant League, as we like to call it. They, just wrapped their season up. Tampa Bay Buccaneers obviously won the Super Bowl down in Tampa, made history. Tom Brady made memes, and had a whole lot of fun that he will probably never live down. And cheers to him.
Yes.
But,
Tom.
obviously, once the season's over, immediately things start shaking up. Coaches got removed. Players have been let go. Things are shaking up. So, NFL offseason moves, trades, free agents. Let's get into a couple key ones. And then, obviously, as the weeks go on, we'll get deeper into this. But let's get into a couple key NFL moves.
Yeah, a few trades actually went down. Carson Wentz is no longer with the Philadelphia Eagles. He's been traded to the Indianapolis Colts. So, yeah, not even big draft picks, to be honest with you. I mean, I'm going to be honest. I thought that was a steal. I know Carson Wentz has had a terrible year. But look, if you break it down like this, at one point, Carson Wentz was looked at as being close to being an MVP until he got hurt. He lost his confidence. I think the team lost the confidence in him, especially after Nick Foles went and won the Super Bowl. He never could get himself together from that because he was trying to live that down. I also don't think that the coach that was there, Doug Peterson, was that great. I thought that he overachieved in the Super Bowl, and I thought he kind of rolled that in and thought that his job was secure forever. So I'm going to blame it half and half on both parties. Now, the year that Doug Peterson and the Philadelphia Eagles went to the Super Bowl and Carson Wentz was great until he got injured, Frank Reich, who is the Indianapolis head coach now, was his offensive coordinator and the quarterback coach for them at the time. So he's going now back to a scheme and an offense and a person that he was very familiar with when he played his best football. Also, he also has the best offensive line in football. Think about it. If Phillip Rivers could make it work over there, I don't see why Carson Wentz can't. Because Phillip Rivers is a bum. I mean, now he is. He wasn't back in the day when he was tearing up the Raiders, but he is now. He had 2 feet out the door.
And I think I think Carson Wentz was in a situation where he had to do a lot to try to prove that he needed to be there. I think now that he's on this team, it just kind of is what it is. Like he doesn't really have to compete for a spot. So you know what I mean? So it's now he can kind of get comfortable in the offense, get himself a rotation. And Indianapolis wasn't terrible. They just didn't have everything they needed to really get it done. And so I think like you said, I think it's a steal. I think this may turn out to be something to look out for in the AFC.
And they was only a second round pick and a third round pick. That's it. And they were futures. So I mean, that's not bad at all. I mean, the other offseason move we could talk about obviously was I almost said Sam Bell. Was Matt Stafford. There you go.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Matt Stafford going over to LA. And obviously, I guess I didn't know that they weren't happy with Jared Goff like that over in LA with the Rams, and they just sent him to Detroit where people die. But
Yeah.
yeah, Matt Stafford. They what 2, 3 first rounders for Matt Stafford, who hasn't proven really anything other than
I,
the fact that he balled out when Calvin Johnson was playing with him, and that was about it.
right.
Like,
Um, yeah, I think that was a hefty give on LA side. But I do think it was time for them to move on from Jared Goff.
yeah,
I I just don't know what instantly Matt Stafford brings you that's worth that much. So yeah, that'll be interesting to see. But LA's known for doing some weird stuff, and it really hasn't panned out. But
no.
it's
I mean,
cute on paper.
yeah, they're ready to win. Obviously, or they're trying to win. They think that there's still their window. I don't really know if that's the truth. I think that Sean McVay in his first year kind of surprised people. I think he's a great coach, but I don't think that he. I mean, him and Shanahan are kind of the same type of coach. Very aggressive. Come from the same system. Run heavy. I can understand that, but at the same time, I don't think that they're coming at a surprise anymore. I mean, Matt Stafford is a good quarterback. He's not a great quarterback. You had a good quarterback who wasn't great quarterback. So you're not really doing a lot right now, but you also gave up 2 draft picks and a quarterback, two
And,
first
may,
round draft picks
and
and a
maybe
quarterback.
maybe they're looking at Matt Stafford to be sort of the, and I don't like to say a game manager. Alex Smith was the best recent version of that, and able to manage games and get you to a point where
Right.
your defense or some other key players could help you get over the hump to win games. And maybe they're looking at that from Matt Stafford, and maybe they're, what I'm saying, because you couldn't even get Jared Goff to do that.
Right.
And so maybe they're just like, hey, let's use him to do this. If it turns out even better than that, then great. If not, we're still going to try to pull somebody in the next year or two anyway. I don't know what the plan is in LA because, like you said, Sean McVay specifically, they like to surprise people. They like to come with all this trickery, which isn't really trickery anymore because most people have figured your stuff out.
No.
And so I don't know what that does for LA. But real quick, let's touch on Houston and their issues. Obviously, J.J. Watt out of there. And Deshaun Watson would love to be out of there. What happens in Houston?
I honestly don't think that they're going to trade him. I think that they're going to wait until the last minute or until somebody decides to give them an outrageous offer that they can't refuse. Which I'm going to be honest with you, from what I heard about from the Carolina Panthers, they've already done it so far. I mean, right now Carolina is offering Christian McCaffrey, I think another draft pick, a defense like one of their better defensive players. Um, I think Rodney Anderson also. Like, what's the point? Like, I don't understand. Like you, Deshaun Watson only
Yeah,
led the
who's he gonna
yeah they
have to work with?
right. You led the Texans to 4 wins last year with nobody. I mean, that wasn't great, obviously, but he can't do it by himself. So you're gonna tell me you're gonna give away the best running back in
In
football,
football.
and also your best receiver, and also your draft pick last year, who turned out to be a great corner for you, and a draft pick? Like, what is he going to throw the ball to himself? Like, I don't get that. Like, I don't understand what you expect
They gonna
Deshaun
put
to
Teddy in
do.
the slot. They gonna put Teddy
Yeah,
in the
right,
slot.
exactly. Like that's all you can do because that's at that point you're going to have everybody playing every other position
Every
just to help
position.
him. Right. So, I mean, look, I don't know if that's going to happen, but that's what I think Houston is looking for. They're not going to budge until they get what they want
Yeah.
because they feel like they can talk him into it because, I mean, right now, Deshaun Watson is still under contract. And the way it seems like they're working, they're not going to basically cater to him and what he wants, just like a lot of these other teams do. As soon as somebody, says they want out of their contract, like they're basically going the opposite way of what the NBA does when players get unhappy. They're basically
Yeah,
saying like, you're our quarterback, and until we feel like we have something better, you're not going anywhere. You can sit out if you want to. You can do whatever you feel like it. A la Le'Veon Bell.
yeah.
We're
And
not
I
going to
think
budge you.
that paves the way for a Le'Veon Bell situation, especially with J.J. Watt now being gone. You
Right.
lost your best receiver to Arizona last year. I, if I'm Deshaun Watson, I get to play football and I'm on this team. Should I be motivated because I make a lot of money? Maybe. Should I be motivated because this is what I want to do in my life? Maybe. Should I be forced to play in a situation where you guys keep taking away all my good pieces? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
you got to help me help you. You want to build this franchise, you got to give me something to work with. You know what I'm saying? And my
Right.
morale is not going to be like a great one if y'all just sit here and slap me in the face and don't give me any sort of support. So, I don't know how that works. So we'll see what happens in Houston. I got two other quick ones I want to bring up. One, does Todd Gurley stay in Atlanta for another year? Um,
Honest, I can answer that right now. If he wants to take a backup role, I think that they're gonna either draft another running back or they're gonna, use whoever their backup running back is this year and start him and maybe use him maybe for goal line situations. As explosive and as great as Todd Gurley was coming out of Georgia and then going to the Rams and playing that first year, 2 years, he fell off a cliff.
yeah,
Like and I don't want to say that because I like Todd Gurley, even though he almost hit me with his car at All-Star Weekend. We won't have to talk about that. But other than that, I think he was a great running back. But it just the injuries, the leg injuries were a major factor. So I mean, if he decides to take a back seat, he might be able to get another year. And it probably will be for a lot less money than he's accustomed to. But I don't know what Todd Gurley's market is right now because they usually run running backs into the ground and then they get rid of him. And right now he's ran into the ground. So
yeah, um, yeah. I don't think there's much of a future for Todd. The last person I want to ask about before we get into too much talk because I haven't heard too much talk about him yet, but Dak. What do we do
well,
with Dak?
I mean they're gonna have to pay him. I mean, let's just be honest. I mean, who was it? I forgot what their quarterback name. Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton wasn't in. They had two other bums that played that I never even heard of that were absolutely terrible. Dak Dak needs to be signed for big money. He deserves it. I know that they had doubts about him, but look, at this point, like this is you put yourself in this corner, Jerry. Like you put yourself in a corner to where
Yeah.
now you have to give him everything he's asking for and more because
Mhm.
you had a ready-made team. Your team could have gotten far. Well, I mean, not with the defense because the defense was terrible, but you were close. But if there's no market right now for other quarterbacks. You don't have a choice unless you decide to draft somebody at a higher pick, and even then, they won't be able to do what Dak has done. I can guarantee you that. I think the problem right now is in Dallas is Zeke. Zeke is the problem. Zeke is not on Todd Gurley level, but he's the new Todd Gurley. Like
Yeah, I don't,
he's washing out,
and I
and
don't know
you
how
paid
he
him
got
that
washed
money
out so fast. Like,
because Zeke doesn't take care of himself.
yeah, that's true.
Zeke parties and
That's true.
he doesn't care about football like everybody else does. Like Zeke is just talent based and that's it. He's never
Yeah.
ever worked hard other than just yeah, I'm sure he knows the plays. I'm sure he does different things, but I mean, we all know what Zeke does after football. Zeke is James Harden of
Yeah.
football, man. I mean, he that's all he he never met a party he didn't like. So, I
Ever.
mean, ever.
Ever.
He's probably at one right now, I guarantee you. So, I mean, look, I think Dallas. I mean, I think they need to sign Dak and just get it over with because the more they bullshit with him, you can do it for another franchise tag if you want to, but I mean, after that, you can't do it anymore, and he's gonna leave, and you don't get Kirk Cousins. I mean, Dak is better than Kirk Cousins, but in that same situation, you are gonna lose out on the quarterback for good, and then you gonna have nobody to play the position. So. I mean, Jerry, figure it out, man. Like, figure it out.
Um. All right. Well, jumping out of the NFL, has some major breaking news today. I don't know when you guys are going to watch this, but as of the recording today, golf legend and frequent topic of this show, Tiger Woods, was unfortunately involved in a very serious car accident. At the time of the taping of this show, they said he had multiple leg injuries and was going to have surgery or was in surgery for leg injuries. Apparently, Tiger was in a single-person accident in Los Angeles. If you know anything about some of the hills in Hollywood, they're very steep, winding roads, and Tiger apparently caught a curve somewhere and rolled off one of the sides of the hills. Now, at the time of the report, says that there was no sign of intoxication for Tiger Woods. Tox screening negative, no alcohol. Which, if you know anything about Tiger's past, he was involved in another single-person accident, and he was very intoxicated. And that single-person accident was kind of the, I guess, crack in the eggshell that led to a lot of other Tiger news. And so it just, when I first heard the news, it definitely sounded unfortunate. It sounded very serious. Didn't want to take, or make any sort of like joke about it. You never want to joke about somebody possibly injuring themselves or losing their life. But, again, it just, I couldn't help but think of the last Tiger accident when this Tiger accident happened. And so all that stuff kind of came to mind. But we're going to hope and pray that Tiger is all right. And that, he definitely makes it back from this. What that means for him playing golf, don't know.
Yeah, I second that. I mean, obviously, pray for Tiger Woods and the situation. The man has gone through quite a bit. I mean, I know a lot of it has been self-induced, but despite this being a flagrant foul, like I don't want to keep talking about the same person over and over again, especially somebody that big and powerful in the world. I mean, Tiger Woods has done many great things in his life, but he's also had a lot of problems, and not even just like you said. Like I mean, a lot of it was, he was intoxicated before, but I mean, he's had a few accidents. Obviously, the situation with the women, that's not even going to talk about that. But it just injuries galore. I mean, he has serious back problems already. I mean, right now they said that they were doing surgery on both legs. He has a shattered ankle. I mean, golf at this point probably is in the rearview mirror for him. And it's unfortunate because, I mean, he is the greatest golfer to ever play. So, I mean, you would hate to have to see somebody go out like this. I mean, when you think of your greats, I mean, obviously I didn't like saying Michael Jordan in the Wizards uniform, but at least he left his own terms. Kobe Bryant was a little bit, not himself, I guess, towards the end of it because he was a little older. But I mean, at least he finished on his own terms. Rest in peace, Kobe. But I mean, you don't want to see the game be taken away because of off field or off course situations like this. I mean, obviously his back was a major problem, and now this, I don't see how he can come back from this. I think it might be time for Tiger to kind of just hang him up and just live his life, with his kids and
I think that kind of will be it, and it's unfortunate that, again, like probably something that's a regular day activity for him driving. You know what I'm saying? He's probably up
Right.
in the morning headed somewhere. He normally goes. Who knows? But it's unfortunate that that's the thing that made take him out of this game, which he definitely will always be an elite and like you said, greatest golfer. I mean, I personally can remember Tiger Woods stories from being younger. Like you just let's be honest, like you don't see too many black people on a golf course, and to see this one be this great, like that's inspiring. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
that's inspiring to say that he can go out there and do this and really be that guy. So it is like you said. It's unfortunate that something other than the game took him out. Like you know what I mean? Like I think people would even be okay if he overswung on a back nine and took his back out, and that was it for Tiger. Like, okay, you did it in the game. You feel me? Like,
Right.
and so it's unfortunate that something other than the game took him out. But again, we're gonna wish the best for Tiger in general, just in life. You know what I'm saying? And hope for a full recovery to where he can walk and get physical therapy and be able to at least live a normal life, whether or not he plays golf again. Just, we're just going to hope that the man is able to walk and enjoy the rest of his life, you know what I mean, at some
Right.
capacity again. So shout out to Tiger, prayers to Tiger. And, we just hope for the best for him. Before we round this out, speaking of hanging it up, though, Serena Williams.
Yeah. Lost with the Australian Open.
Yeah, Naomi.
To Naomi Osaka, who
Yeah.
is a brilliant, brilliant, brilliant tennis player. Like I'm not even about to sit here. Like I'm gonna give my props to her because she won obviously the Australian Open. This is her fourth Grand Slam, I think.
Yeah.
But shout outs to her because she is she's like 22 maybe. If I'm wrong on that, something like that. She's young. And so I mean, I don't want to call her the next Serena because that's disrespectful to her because I feel like she's going to be her own great tennis player. But, Serena was her idol. So I don't think that's a shot to her. But she handled Serena pretty easily, just like she did back in 2018 in the U.S. Open. But, I just watching that match. Serena started off well. She played a decent game. Naomi's better than her, and I feel like that's just going to be a natural thing. And we talked about it a little bit, and I don't want to get into it too much because I don't know where Serena's priorities at, and I don't want to sit here and speculate and think and say that they're not with tennis. But I'm just going to say the exact same thing I would say about anybody except for I guess right now LeBron James is. Father Time is undefeated. And I feel like with Serena right now being 39 and, having a little bit of a hard time in the last few tennis matches, I feel like maybe it is about time for her to kind of let it go and maybe enjoy the rest of her tennis.
It's a changing of the guard. Like it's just
Right.
that time. I mean, Serena, when she came on the scene, and I'm not comparing Naomi to Serena. Serena's a great in her own right. She is a absolute great. When she came on the scene, she was young and she was knocking off, the greats of that time, and that's just how it goes. I mean, tennis is that game. You know what I mean? Where you're gonna have players that can still play in their 30s, but then you're gonna have those 16, 17, 18-year-olds that come in and they can play too, and it's just the way it is. And so, it's not necessarily a knock on Serena. You've had a great career. You know what I'm saying? Like you won an Open while being pregnant. You know what I'm saying? Like you've done some fantastic, awesome things. No one's ever going to take that away from you. But also, it may be time to just go ahead and call it quits. I don't want to see you continue to lose. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And not to say that you can't win. Obviously, you made it as far as you did. You didn't lose in the first round or something like that. You know what I mean? But I just, for your legacy's sake, again, like I love Kobe, but I didn't like seeing Kobe look like an iced up robot.
Right.
It's just one of those things. And so maybe Serena's got one more major in her, maybe not. But I think that if she does, then that may be it, and call it a farewell kind of thing or something. But I think it's time to go ahead and let it go. It's, like I said, it's the changing of the guard. It's time for the new ones to come on in.
Yeah, I completely agree. And like I said, and well, like we just touched on, I mean, it's not a bad career if you hang it up. Um, you don't have to. It's your thing. But like you said, like I would like it if you went out somewhat on top and don't just kind of flame out. But it happens to everybody. It's not. I mean, it's sports only last for so long. So you know, I know a thing or two about
Yeah.
that. Can't do it forever. Can't do it forever.
Yep. So, and just like that, we can't do the show forever. So we're gonna have to call this a day. This has been another episode of Hella Flagrant, the podcast. As always, you can find us on everywhere that podcasts are streaming. That's everywhere. Spotify. That's Apple. We're on SoundCloud. We're on YouTube. We're on Google, Amazon, Anchor FM. Anywhere that podcast exists, the Black Entrepreneur app even features this podcast now. So if you're on there scrolling for other business things, you can find us on there. Stream us from anywhere. It does not matter. All the streams, all the same, unless you're watching YouTube as the video, but it's all the same content. So wherever you want to stream us from, wherever it's most comfortable for you, feel free to stream, tap in, tell a friend, share, whatever. Hella Flagrant, the podcast. We do this thing for you guys. So we always coming back. Like I said, we're going to have some more NFL offseason stuff. We'll be a little bit closer to NBA AllStar by the next time we record. So tune in. We'll be right here just for y'all.
Yeah. Website www.theflagrantfoul.com. You can check out these videos as well. And we also write stories, so you can check out anything that we have about things that maybe you didn't get to see on the podcast, or maybe you want to learn about. We might have them up, you know what I'm saying, so you can read about it a little bit. So please do us a favor, like, subscribe, and follow us on all platforms, and watch it on all platforms. Please do it for us, man, because we're doing this for y'all.
Absolutely. So on that note, we're going to check y'all on the next one. Peace.